Hello, hello. Can you hear us? Let's see if the
Hello.
Zoom, or not Zoom, if our Zulip audience is hearing us. Hello, Bjorn. Hello, Jarno.
Hello, Jarno. Hello, Enrico.
I tried to make the title visible and I clicked on the wrong slider again. So the sound might be slightly different from the way it was before. I wonder what the number was originally, but everyone can adjust the volume. So
Yeah.
at this point, it's probably fine. I'll just keep it the way it is for the rest of the session.
Can people hear us though? Did you check
Yes.
this? Okay, they can
Is
hear us.
anyone on Twitch, Zulip? Can you hear us? Yeah.
So basically we are at day 5. As usual, if you were already in the previous 4 days of this CodeRefinery workshop, you might already know how we are going to operate together. So you're watching the Twitch TV stream, and then there is this collaborative document that I'm showing right now. And there in this collaborative document, if you were not present the previous days, it's actually a very intuitive system. At the very top, there is a pencil. And so, for example, now I go to the very top. You might not see my pencil, but it's okay.
Uh, I'll
Or do
make
you
it
wanna?
visible again. All right.
Okay. So you see there's a pencil. I click the pencil, and there the page turns into like a editor. And basically you can just edit. And so I added a couple of icebreaker question. How is the weather at your location? I think it was quite cold this morning. Well, how is it? Is it that you're in Oslo, Bjorn, right?
I'm not sure how it's in Oslo, but in Trondheim was. I used gloves on my bike to office today, so
I see.
it's starting to getting colder here. And last weekend, I think there was snow in the mountains around 900 meters.
So
So
winter is coming,
winter is coming, definitely.
even though it's what, the second day of autumn? But anyway, so those of you who are online, you can open this notes document. I guess you just received an email with the notes document. So and basically write down the weather, but maybe more interesting, and I can ask this question also to the others here in the room. I'm sure you have shared some of your code, or maybe you helped because both of you are research software engineers, and maybe you helped some researchers writing some code for them. So how do you usually give codes to other, for example, Bjorn?
Yeah, well, I think I mostly emailed or pasted into GitLab issues
Mhm.
example code, and I haven't licensed it in any way. Just I haven't said whether I had gotten it from either. So, so, but it's been mostly snippets of code. So, and I think that's quite common in all over just in university setting and as also the software industry that small snippets of codes are shared and copied.
Yeah, what about you, Jarno?
Well, I mean, I'm a research software engineer. It's my job to share code with researchers. So, like essentially whatever they want, usually Git, um, on GitHub or a local GitLab instance. Um, Also, like attachments in email, um, shared folders. What else? Like I haven't
You
used a
have
thumb drive yet in this job. I have in previous jobs, like a USB drive. Um, whatever works, whatever they can use is
yeah.
the best. But of course, I prefer to use Git and publish it, so I can make it available for everyone. So
But
um,
but then is it that when you give the code, let's say that you, I don't know, write a function or a script for someone you're helping, do you explicitly tell them you can do whatever you want with this code, or you need to cite my whatever copyright?
if I make it public, then I use a license. but not explicitly because I mean, we are essentially always been working at the same university and been collaborating on the code. So it's the university owns the code to some
Yeah.
extent. But it's a good point. Like if they want to publish it at some point, then in principle they would need to ask my permission. Which if I have given you some code, you have my permission to publish it. But
Yeah.
this is not the best channel for doing that. I guess we'll come to that later. But
And this is exactly basically the topic of today, that sometimes you might even share, okay, this is the bit of code that whatever this postdoc before me was using, and now I pass it on to you, and maybe it's all fine and there's no issues, but you can understand that maybe is this whatever mysterious postdoc, is they are they gonna be cited, or at least will there be some mentions that they actually were the original writers of the code. So this is what we will basically cover in this topic today, which is a kind of interesting topic because it's a mixture of kind of legal reasons that sometimes you need to be in order with the law when you share the code or use somebody else's code. But then it goes also towards more ethics, that if someone was helping you, it's good to mention that this person was helping you. Right.
yes,
So anything else do you want to mention?
Yeah, I worked for a startup once that was acquired by Sun Microsystems,
Mm,
and then there was a huge due diligence process, and one of the major things was the source code of the product that they were buying, where this source code come from, and it was developed in-house, but they more or less went through all of the code to make sure that there wasn't parts that were copied from, especially open source GPL
mm,
um, yeah, products or projects. So they had a very thorough process going through the all of the source code to
yeah,
make sure that it was in fact written in-house.
yeah, I agree. And this is also sometimes important that maybe some of you might now just starting to share code. Some of you have been sharing code and writing whatever libraries, extensions for many years. You never know where your code might actually end up. And then this type of commercial slash legal issues might, you know, maybe even come back in a positive sense, that maybe, you get famous and hired by whatever larger company in the world, or maybe, as most likely happens with researchers, you will never see any penny out of your code. But let's try to keep positive. And